Hello, welcome to my Friday hangs. Guys, I am so excited. We are going to be talking about some incredible art. Hi everyone. We are going to talk about some incredible art with Denise Jackson. She is an art curator. I'm just queuing up some images here quickly and we'll have her join in. So Friday hangs, this is all about giving you guys some inspo for the weekend and prepping for like just turning off our brains. And I know many of us have done art history classes in the past in college or high school or whatever and got a ton of inspiration from them. And hold on 1 second, guys. This is a lot more casual than my Wednesdays. Like I'm a lot less focused on it being perfect. I just want this to be a fun hang where we talk about cool work. So let's get Denise on. I've never actually shared images on a live, so we're gonna see how this goes. There we go. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Can you say just the top of my head?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, so game plan is, I'm just pulling up the images that we can talk through, but you are at a gallery. So you see me? Are we here? Are we connecting?
Let's see.
There we go.
Okay. Can
I
you
want to
see?
intro you. Yes.
Do I look dark?
A little dark, but hey, whatever. It's just because of the painting behind you.
Well,
So a little intro. You used to be in banking, finance, like really serious 9 to 5 type stuff, right?
yes. I did all kinds of things in retail banking.
Yes. Okay. So then it was right around what? Was it 2008, 2009 when you made the pivot into art and curating art and all things just way cooler than retail banking?
More fun. Yes. Yeah. Banking was really banking, real estate, all of that. Was having a hard time at the end of 2007, first of 2008. So I tell people even now with everything we've gone through this year, sometimes there's silver linings when you have to pivot.
Yeah.
So, I thought about continuing on in banking and lending, but really decided to pursue my passion, which was showing art.
Yeah.
So
And so you, like, not to name drop, but you've worked with some pretty, incredible artists with great followings, and you're hosting galleries and just kind of super proactive in this space. But then obviously with COVID, you kind of had to slow down a little bit, but you're finding unique ways to still get art to people, right? So can you talk a little bit about like the Zooms that you've been doing and different things that are on the horizon for you?
yeah, at the beginning of this year, I had some really big projects planned and was really excited, like everyone else, I think.
Yeah.
2020 is starting, but all that's had to pivot. So one of the artists, he's a Brooklyn-based artist now in Philadelphia that's very well known and well connected. He has an art foundation as well. He's a philanthropist and artist.
Yeah.
And we were going to show him in November. But when we realized that wouldn't happen, we've started doing virtual panels once a month.
Yeah.
And some pretty high profile guests on our panels. So it's been a really nice opportunity. I've always liked adding other elements with what I do to get more people to engage and join and come see and experience art.
Yeah.
So it's been good for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, you have given me some works that we can take a look at. But maybe if you wanted to give us a little spiel of all things art, how to look at it, and we can even dissect the piece behind you and kind of let this flow how you want it. I'll let you lead and guide me, and I'll just kind of like go with what you want.
Well, like I said, I feel like this year, even for me, it's been a challenging year, but art and artists are such a bright spot, of inspiration and, something else to think about and to be inspired by. So I'm fortunate that I have that in my life, but really anyone can, tap into it. So I am at a space, I'm in Atlanta, and actually I do look really dark, but I came here because I knew the Wi-Fi would be good. And
Yes.
art behind me. So
Yeah.
I can't really adjust the lights well. There's an art light on this piece. But this is
Yeah.
the same artist that we do have some images of, I think, that will
Awesome.
um, so I've had an art gallery in Atlanta for a number of years, downtown Atlanta, where there's a big art stroll. And it was a lot of fun when I had the gallery, but it was kind of like on the go constantly. You know, every month putting up a new exhibit. As soon as it was up and I was happy with it, it was time to take it down and put up the next one. I was throwing these huge art parties, which were
Yeah.
really fun and connected me to a lot of artists and a lot of people who enjoy art. But at some point, you know, after 4 years of doing that, I was ready to, you know, switch gears.
Yeah.
So I really do two things. I put together art exhibits and love to show art. People need art for their home, they need art for an office, a commercial space. So I do both of those things, art consulting and art curating. For the last couple years, I've aligned with, there's a upscale co-working space it's nationwide, but they have 4 locations in Atlanta, Serendipity Labs. So that's where I'm sitting right now. And one of their concepts is to show local artists in their space and then rotate the exhibit. And the walls and the spaces are so big in Atlanta that they could use my help. So
Yeah.
I've been hanging art in their spaces. It gives me a nice space. I don't have to be here all the time with the art. I can, you know, am I getting even darker? Let me try to turn the light on.
I'm like, one of those motion sensors, like, woo! This is fun. Oh, this is so fun. Yes.
Okay, now I'm gonna be really
Guys,
good.
this is like uncensored content.
Okay. So you get a whole different view of the painting. But
Yeah.
so these spaces are nice, although, you know, during this period in time, there's not as many people walking through the spaces, but I still do have art up in various spaces with them. So like I said, it's been nice wall space for me. I don't have to be here. There's a concierge who can sit here with the art.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's incredible.
So, and I've worked with all kinds of artists. To begin with, I would say I probably worked with emerging artists, but over time I've worked with, you know, really established artists, all types, all genres, you know, paintings and mixed media art, photography, figuratives, landscapes, realism, abstract, really everything, sculpture, and, you know, try to add and have access to a lot of different types of art.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really nice experience. For about a year and a half, I worked with Restoration Hardware.
Okay.
They had a contemporary art platform with original art. Now they actually still have very nice art, but it's you know, it's replicas. It's cheap clays and fine art prints. But at one time they had an art gallery in Chelsea, a 6-level art gallery near Chelsea, which was super cool. And I was based in Atlanta, but I did travel with them, and which was great. You know, I was in New York with them, in Chicago, and Denver, and LA, and Tampa, as they were opening new locations with art. And that actually, it was really kind of fun to sell art in other markets as well, and work with artists, you know, from Beijing and from Europe and from California. So that was a great experience to expand sort of my base of the artists I've worked with.
That's so cool. So then, let's just dive in and start dissecting some art. I know that all of our brains can use a break after this week and just like focus our eyes on something beautiful and get outside of our work day and all that. So, do you want to look at the piece behind you? Is that one of the images you sent me? Is that the piece in person?
You sent. So this is Jacqueline, Doyle, Allison.
Yes.
And I have an exhibit of her work here. We've probably got about 15 pieces here.
Cool.
But up the other two, or can you?
Yes. Okay. So let me I might have to pause and figure some bone things out quick, but give me one sec. I just have never shared an image on a live.
I guess if ever there.
So my phone is, you know, doing some stuff. Yes. But I do have, so for some reason the Laura paintings aren't showing, but I'm going to show this one first and we can dive in from there. Whoa, that's
Okay.
cool. Do you see that?
Yeah, this is the same artist. So she is, I believe all the artists that I sent you are living in Georgia right now.
Mhm.
She's originally from La Cruz, is that how you say it, New Mexico,
Okay.
and lives in the North Georgia mountains. So I like her work because you can see there's a lot of movement in it. I feel like there's a lot of movement and energy, but it's really hopeful, joyful work. That's what she's going for is for her, it was, I think, reconnecting with joy after a life-threatening illness that really brought her to this place. But you can see it in the work. And her work does have a lot of layers. And it has a really nice use of light as well in it. And she works in series. So she'll do a series around a theme, and then each series will have 8 or 10 pieces. So actually the one behind me is similar, to the one that's a little bit lighter shade that you have up
Yeah.
there. They may be from a similar series. I think the one behind me is from a series called Arabesque,
Mhm.
which is a dance
Mm.
series. And then the one that has the bolder blue background, that one's called Jumping Jack Flash, which I love her titles. And
Yeah.
the series is Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's music inspired.
Mhm.
And when she paints, it's acrylic, and she paints with, broad kind of marks on the canvas to give it texture. And then many, many layers of paint on top where you can see some of the previous layers, showing through the art, and it gives it kind of that depth.
Mm.
So I think her main purpose is helping you find some, beauty and joy and inspiration when you're looking at her artwork. And each series, one thing I do like about it too is each series, there'll be another piece similar but a little bit different. And I love to look at them and think, okay, do I like this one better or this one better? And why do I, this one might have a little bit more red, or this one might have a little more yellow, or what is it about the placement? And I know when she creates, she's very spontaneous. And she said that when she stops is when the piece really is giving her joy and she can see that positive energy in it, then she knows that it's done.
So I'm just so focused on the yellow in the blue image. And so you said the dancing and music. It's like there's just clouds of color and different things on the canvas. And then the yellow little like kind of figure almost looks like it's dancing. And so to
Yep.
me, and obviously we're looking at this far away, but to me it looks like it's like a progression. The person's like there in the yellow under this kind of cloud. They're dancing and moving, and then the yellow figure is almost moving to the right, and it's not as prominent in that, kind of section on the right. And so I'm like, okay, what am I getting from this? What emotions am I feeling? Like, what should I be pulling from the artist's inspiration? Then what should I put my own thoughts into it, right? So
Yep.
like when you take a look at a piece like this, what's the first thing your eyes go to? And then how are you slowly moving through the piece? Like I just envy when people, this is a long-winded question, but I envy those people that can stare at a piece of work in a museum for hours. And I
Right.
used to have that focus and I could do it in college when I was at museums all the time and post college. But now I'm just like, oh, I don't even remember any of my like art
Right.
things.
Right. And I feel like I'm pretty intuitive more how I view
Okay.
art. Like
Yeah.
I have an eye and I just like some things more than others, but
Yes.
it's so subjective that I think there's really, of course, there's no right or wrong way. You really experience art where you are at the moment you're experiencing it. And I think part of it does even go back into your deeper memories and things, things that it helps you recall or makes you, come to mind. Which when we talk about one of the other artists, Jason, there is a little bit of something that relates in there. Um,
Yes. Do you want me to pull up Jason?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Is he the orange or is he the blocks?
the blocks, yeah,
Awesome.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So this,
I'm kind of bummed that I'm blocking the gray. So that's
Right.
something I'll note for next time.
but at least you got them up there, so that's great.
Yes.
And so Jason's an architect by his, degree is in architecture. He's working at Coca-Cola actually, but his degree is in architecture. But has said he prefers the limits of painting, the constraints of painting over I think the wide open possibilities of architecture.
Mm-hmm.
And his work does have to do, and I don't think you would maybe get this unless you talked to the artist or read about the artist, but his work does have to do with memories or events. So
Ooh.
either a memory or an event from his life in his painting. And the architectural details that you see, the shapes are specific moments in his memory. So that's where, this is the artist's memory, but maybe it brings us to that as well. I like it because I do see architectural details in the geometric shapes and marks that are in there. But I think also even things from my childhood. When I was young, my parents had sort of a mid-century modern taste, and I feel like his work has that look to it. I really liked the dark piece, which is very moody. But then there's other people who are much going to probably prefer the lighter pieces, and he does have a lot of light pieces actually. And what I do love about it as well, because art can have meaning, like you said, and we can dissect it, but I also do think it has a decorative purpose at the same time, especially if we're going to live with it. We want something that we can live with for whatever reason we find appeal in the piece of art. And I feel like with Jason's work, I mean, it would be incredible in a mid-century modern home, but it could also go into a very clean modern space. Furniture and all black and white and very clean, but I could also really see it over a piece of antique, an antique piece of furniture. I think it would really sell an antique really well. So when we were talking about like when you're looking at art, I think it's triggering these memories or things inside of us that maybe we haven't thought about, and you may not even realize why you have the reactions that you do or why you're drawn to what you're drawn to, but I think some of it comes from that.
So when I look at this, and I want to know what you guys are seeing, those of you watching the live, at first I was like, yes, architecture, this is cool. I'm seeing some like organic type elements on the side, but then as you were talking about it, like part of me gets, and I don't want to ruin what you guys are getting, but part of me gets like, so the black is someone's mind in their space, and then the little openings are like openings in the mind, and the memories are like falling through like the window panes. But then it also kind of looks like beds. So like, is it like you're sleeping and dreaming while the memories are hitting you, and then
it's get more ladders, but that's just, I've seen another piece in a museum that was actually like a ladder. Fire escape, the windows in a building, of what I draw from, because I like architecture and I like design elements. And I'm not sure why I'm drawn to the darker one than to the lighter one, but I know I'm the darker one.
And see, that's the thing. It's like, it could be a personality thing. It could be that artist, the romantic side. It's like going back. Have you taken the Enneagram quiz ever?
I have. I forget, but I have taken
What
it.
number? Yeah, like it's curious to then pull in all those Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, like human sign, different things together, and like then helping yourself understand why you're attracted to this type of art. But then, like you said, it could be your background. So some people are saying that they're seeing someone else's stories, like a peeping Tom.
Well, that's what it truly is. I don't know that we're supposed to see it or not, but I do think that's what it is it a story in there.
Yeah. I thought of a fading in and out, a struggle with clarity. Ooh, that's good.
Good.
Yeah, so the left has the architecture kind of lines with a little bit of the organic material on the bottom. And then you're kind of going into this unknown with no structure. Ooh, this is good.
And his titles will have, they're not anything you would recognize. Like they might be like Fading Cant or 805, but they probably mean something to him. 805 is probably a date or something that means something to him.
Okay, that's cool. I really like architectural vibes. And also, so I liked when you talked about, so let's do it for the next piece, but when you talked about where you could envision this. So for those of us that are trying to be adults and not have ghetto artwork on our walls, or our work from college, or our figure drawings that we've all done and thought we were so talented at. Like, so for this piece, you said those options where you could see it. So I'm going to pull up the orange series.
Yes.
Let's dissect it again, but then also tell us where you could envision this to help those interior designers here. So this. Oh man, I really want to see my favorite one.
Right. And well, and that is on your
yes.
your the people
yes.
There. And the artist is actually on our live.
Who is it?
Jac Painter.
Ah, fun. Thank you. I've been loving your piece all week.
Yeah. And her work has a great story to it. So before I talk about where I'd envision it, I'll tell you about the art.
Cool.
Her work is, well, let me just tell you about it. So she is originally from Seattle. She lived in Amsterdam for a while and then ended up in Atlanta. And she has a corporate background as well in retail real estate internationally, and ended up following her passion and working as an artist and creating art. And she uses resin and will add colors and mediums to the resin to give it that color in the background. I think most of these are on like a board. But basically she's taking found objects, and specifically the one that has the heart in it.
Yeah.
A lot of her pieces, there's a place in Atlanta called the Krog Street Tunnel, which is well known as a tunnel where a lot of artists have gone over the years and created graffiti, over and over and over in that tunnel. So she was living in that neighborhood and picking up pieces of graffiti off the ground. And so pieces are many layers of spray paint, like over the years, and layer on layer on layer when it falls off the wall. So she was picking those up. So that's what the heart shape is a piece of the graffiti. So she's able to take something that's temporary like graffiti and then make a permanent piece of art.
I love that.
Like represents the community. And that's what the heart is. And it's from her Love series.
That is so cool. So I figured out a way. By the way, my son is with my husband. If you heard the crying, he is safe and sound.
Yeah, he's
back to work, Mom. No, so this is going to be how I do it.
Yeah.
So here is the orange piece in all of its glory. The other piece that I have been dying over this week. This is so, talk to me about this.
Yeah, so this piece is a super cool piece. It's from her barbed wire series, and she does, along with the graffiti, take found objects and compose them on her pieces. So this one is a Chanel perfume bottle.
Ooh.
Mademoiselle Coco Chanel, I believe. And you can see the Chanel bottle pouring down. There's the barbed wire, and then the cap of the perfume bottle down in the lower right. And there's a few little gold leaf hearts, graffiti hearts, because that ties in with the luxury of the Chanel label. So it's kind of an ode to luxury and Chanel. And, it's a playful and fun piece, but it's beautiful. And we were talking about it. She said she's really surprised it hasn't sold yet because it's got like a fan following this piece.
Yes, really? I believe it. All the colors, like I'm so neutral in my colors, but there's some like energy and movement and striking. I didn't think of it as the barbed wire, but the energy and the movement and coming across this like organic, like, kind of thing here. It's like jutting in and then the elements on top. That is so cool. I didn't realize it was a Chanel perfume bottle.
You can see it now, can't you? It's the actual. It's the bottle's actually in there, and she has some pieces with smashed beer cans that weren't open but like hit, I guess, by a car and smashed. One with an unshot bullet, I believe, and a doll. So she's using found objects in some of them, but this one combines sort of the assemblage and the found art with something that's really pretty and girly and at the same time. So.
Yeah, I love it. And back to the graffiti one, just feeling about those layers of community and artists on top of it, and then creating it in space, like a time and space, and having it continue on.
And several of these love series have like what she calls like the lifesaver color. like the candy orange and the candy red. There's a red piece that would be kind of a companion piece with that orange one. You know, a similar composition, but with a red background that's really beautiful. And those two together would be, I think, super cool.
That's
Like over or in a dining room, or of course hearts, and of course the Chanel would be, I would think, more of a bedroom piece, a bedroom, a dressing room, a bathroom kind of piece. But the hearts could really be anywhere, I think, in your home.
I love that. So I want to ooh, watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, watermelon Jolly Rancher.
This is fun to have the actual artist on.
Yeah. You can
Okay,
tell
so
I said lifesavers instead of Jolly Ranchers. Like, I don't know if it's lifesavers.
how can I figure, okay, so I'm going to change this because those other two, the paintings from Laura or the works from Laura aren't coming up. So I'm going to do my computer thing.
Yeah, I think that worked. We could see them well.
Yeah, it was great. It actually takes up, yeah, a good amount of the screen. Okay, so moment of truth. Will it work? Let's turn up my brightness. So this is so emotional for me. I don't know. I want to hear what you think about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
woo, 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 woo. Hold on. Knocking over this. Okay, here.
there you go. So this piece actually has, I had a connection to this piece as well. So this is Laura Bowman. She's a Georgia artist. And she started out as a landscape painter. So her colors are those more autumnal colors, you know, the kind of fall palette. But then she also started doing more inspirational type pieces. And my story with this piece is when I first discovered or knew about Laura, we were doing an exhibit at a gallery with 4 female artists. And I had a dream, like a really, a dream that I really remembered when I woke up, about diving off, you know, off somewhere high into water. And I dove down and then kind of just like arched up, and it felt so good. And it felt like beautiful. And when I woke up, I literally Googled on, you know, Google Images, trying to find like a woman diving into the water and coming up, which is what I had dreamed. And it was just like this cool vision I had of me doing this in the water. I literally looked for it. I go into the gallery a few hours later, and she comes walking and carrying this painting of a girl who just water.
What?
Yeah, I was like,
oh my gosh,
exactly what I dreamed, and it's exactly what I was trying to find in the Google. And then there's more to this piece actually as well. She uses acrylic, but also encaustic. So this one does have like the wax and caustic on there, but the numbers that you see in the lines, that is the mathematical equation that's the golden spiral.
Yeah, I saw that immediately.
Did you? Yeah. And so it's, you know, it's the mathematical equation really of beauty and symmetry and what we see so much in nature. And that's where she was going with this piece. So she's combining that element with the figurative. And this piece, actually, to be honest, this piece has been sold, but then I had a client who, in a law firm, I put together several different for their firm, but they had seen this piece, and she ended up doing it for them without the female, just with the abstract and the numbers and a more prominent golden spiral in it.
Okay.
And because the logo of the law firm was the golden spiral. So
wow.
They hung it like at the entrance when you walked into the firm. So she redid this. And then I have she and I have a client together who's wanting something similar. She's opening a float spa, it's in California, and it's like where you float in the water, and it's like a med spa, but it's a float.
That's cool. I want to try one of those.
I do too. And she wants a piece similar to that for the float spa.
So, okay, can we go back to like the mind-blowing vision thing? Also, you guys like my Peloton in the back? I definitely do hit that all the time. So if you want to like join me on my username, so side thing. But golden spiral, like obvious, all of us artists, it's like one of the first things you learn in art school. And then every painting and drawing and collage and mixed media and photography thing we do is like that. And then the last year of college, everyone's like, how can I break all the rules? So throw the golden spiral out, like the rule of thirds, don't care about it. So I like that she's pulling in, it's just so emotional, like your vision, the fact that you had a dream about something like this, you diving into water,
Yeah.
having that arched back, and then she walks into your gallery the next day. Oh my gosh, I totally believe in that kind of stuff. I
It
mean,
was
like,
chills. The story was like chills, and it really has cemented the memory, of my dream forever. I think when I see this piece, I'm like, oh wow, I had that dream, and then she walked in.
wow, how did you not buy it offhand? I mean, we can't all afford great art.
That's
But
right. Well, other pieces in the show
yes,
that had angel wings that were really popular.
cool.
Landscapes, but she's also doing these inspiration pieces that have, she wanted to do something that would make the viewer or make people connect more with her art. So she started doing these kind of more spiritual, deeper level things to her pieces. The one I sent you is,
Yes,
yeah, it's sort of a playful piece.
I like it, but I want to know, yeah, what I need to be getting from it.
Yes. Well, and I think this is subjective, but I think it's also pretty literal. It's called hitting what we see. Someone,
Can you say that one more
bullseye
time,
or
what it's
trying to make a
called?
goal.
I think my internet
Hitting
is,
the mark.
hang on one sec. Okay, so let's give it a sec to catch up, and then
Yep.
repeat what it is called and kind of go into it from there.
Okay. So it's pretty literal. It's called hitting the mark.
Yeah.
And so, it's about focus, and I think it would be inspiring in that way. Like, I think it'd be a great piece for an office, a home office, because it's focusing on your goal and staying focused on your goal and having laser focus. I think that's what it is. But at the same time, she makes it lighthearted. It's a very light piece, and you can see it combines her landscape in there. It combines her female figure, and it combines her inspiration and also the sky. It's a lot of sky in the piece. So I think a lot of elements, kind of lighthearted, but also kind of adds all the elements in there.
Yeah. I always love a good like white space. That was my word in college, and not to get all, I do really love critiques. I miss art critiques. Oh, I just realized my face mask has been under my sweatshirt this whole time. Okay. So I love art critiques, and I love getting really bougie, annoying, artsy. Like that just feels so reminiscent of college and all of those critiques of a bunch of kids that don't know anything critiquing your art, which you love and hate at the same time. But like talking with you today, it's just reminding me of taking slower moments to look at things, whether it is art or maybe it's organic materials outside, like leaves on this vine wall outside my window, or finding moments where lines are lining up and the sun is shining a certain way and treating it like a canvas and dissecting what are you feeling when you look at this and why are you feeling that, and just taking those moments to stop and pause. This is like inspiring me so much.
Right. And I love art, but I also do love design and beautiful things. So I can find that in design elements and in architecture and in buildings and cities and all of that. And a lot of people find it in nature and flowers and all of that too, in the sunsets and sunrises, if you're an early riser, which I'm not really, but Atlanta has, and a lot of cities has a design center, the Atlanta Art Center, and it's really big. It has all the design showrooms. So that's one of my real happy places. Everything's very elevated and, very beautiful and polished, and so I do love going over there. A lot of the showrooms will have art in them, different than going to a gallery, but it is one of my happy places.
So can we pull up, just because this is working, I don't want to miss those two pieces. We can just quickly take a look at them that were hidden behind me so you guys can get the full view. So we were able to see this dark blue for those of you just joining in, but we weren't unable to see this like lighter piece. And so that's kind of similar to the one behind her. So you can just take a nice long look.
And there actually are some, which you probably would have liked, Stephanie, in this exhibit here that have a lot of white background.
Ooh, can you walk around?
Yeah, I might be able to. No one's here, otherwise I'd need to put on a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Go long enough that I don't run out of battery. And,
so sick of walking out of the house and forgetting these and like about to go in to get my takeout and I can't, so.
Me too. I did that yesterday. I walked all the way upstairs into a Whole Foods and it was like, so let's see. this
By
is
the way, it's controversial. Do the masks actually do anything? The question is still
the one
out
we're just
there.
talking about, the Bohemian
Oh,
Rhapsody.
okay, cool. Yeah, I love that.
But then I don't know if you can see me walking down the hall, but
Yep. This is interactive, guys. Also, don't forget, if you have questions for Denise, art, anything, throw them up there.
trying to.
Oh, so wait, is this the same artist as the one you just passed?
Yeah, these are all Jacqueline in this space. So
Okay.
you can see how they're so similar, but they have differences. Like then you'll see this one here is a lighter palette.
Oh, yeah.
It's more whites.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, it's kind of cool because there's a hallway, so it's almost like a gallery wall.
Cool. Wow. Okay.
And then there's actually going to be some really white ones down here. Hold on a second. Let's see. This is another one with color to it.
Yeah.
This one is another series that's called Compass. So it's kind of got these crosses in it. And a little
Okay,
bit
so like, can you, with your skill and expertise, can you see right off the bat that that's acrylic? Like, you're like, oh, yes, obviously that's acrylic.
Well, I do know that's acrylic. I would know that's acrylic, yes. I don't know that I'm even an expert every time, but yeah, I can tell acrylic from oil, yes.
Yeah, obviously. But then you mentioned something I did in college but forgot, but the wax layer that goes over, what was that called again?
Encaustic.
Encaustic, yes. Oh my gosh. It's like crosshatch, all these different things that we learned in college that now, yeah.
Well, that piece by Laura with the golden spiral, that's encaustic. It has a thin layer
Yeah.
of wax.
Okay.
So see these, an oil wouldn't get that, those really bright colors like that in the
Yeah.
same way.
And the texture too. I always love the texture of acrylic.
So her pieces, you can probably see, are really textural.
Yeah, super thick. It's almost like plaster vibes.
Right. Where, you know, each of the ones I think I showed, for example, Jason Gettig, his are lots of layers, but it's very flat.
Yeah.
Like, very, very flat. Jason.
Almost like on purpose. He wants order and like clarity and nothing messy happening.
Yeah, so they're very flat. Jacqueline's here has probably the most texture of anyone, and hers are very spontaneous.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, control.
Yeah.
And then Jac's is the resin. So it's, most of hers are that real, you know, high shine gloss.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people really like to live with those. They can also be, they're usually very positive pieces when they're gloss like that. And then,
while you're walking, like, okay, if you were to pick your favorite type of art, like, are we going impressionist? Are you modern, architectural, like you kind of said? Is that usually what you want to have in your house because it's so inspiring to you?
Someone asked me the other day what was my favorite period, my favorite time period, you know,
Yeah.
And I said today. Like I really like contemporary art, what's coming out now. I always like to see new work. Originally in my life, I loved Impressionist. You know, we kind of start with a love of that a lot of times. As a very young girl, I knew Modigliani when I was 3 or 4 years old. My father had little books of like Modigliani and Degas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. You're elegant little gal.
So so Modigliani is really like, if I could have one piece, you know, of all time, I would take one of his pieces. But I really do love contemporary art, and there's so many artists that I really do love. But I would say myself personally, I lean more toward abstract and figurative.
Same.
Less myself.
Yes, the abstract to me, and then going even more like boring to like Mondrian. I really love Mondrian and like artists that are like that, which is weird because I'm a flowy person, but I love the order and like
in the
colors.
Like, yeah.
Okay, I want to pull up Modigliani.
Yes. There's a wonderful movie that I recommend to everyone. So I've got 2 art movies for you all.
Good, it's great. I'm gonna write them down and put them in the captions.
Yeah, 2 really great movies that are art inspiration, and it's Andy Garcia's film, Modigliani. And Andy Garcia plays Modigliani, Picasso's in it, Renoir's in it, other famous artists. And it's a very tragic, romantic movie, but the score is beautiful. It's just it's really a beautiful movie, and it's based on his life.
Yeah.
So that's one of my all-time favorites, and a lot of people don't know of it, but Andy
Yeah.
Garcia and stars in it, and it's a beautiful movie.
Okay, that's incredible. It's literally just called Modigliani, you guys. If you don't know, I'm gonna put it here.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the other one?
And the other one is a newer, that one's not that, it's a fairly recent film, but the other one's called, let me make sure I get it right, The Painter and the Thief.
Oh, wait. Okay, yeah.
When you watch the trailer for it, you'll just be blown away. It's both are really just even worth watching the trailers because they're
Wait,
both,
2020?
yes, it's pretty recent. The Painter and the Thief. I don't know if it's 2020 or 2019.
Yeah, but it's a documentary. Okay, yeah, I see it.
It's a documentary, but it plays like a bit of a drama, like a docudrama. But it's true. It's like happening in real time, but it's just incredible. It's this artist, and her work is brilliant. Like she did these three big masterpieces, very realism, like photorealism, but edgy. And they're somewhere in Europe, Norway or somewhere like that. So she painted these three masterpieces, and she has them in a show. Just, you know, they're highlighted, these three huge pieces. And somehow these two men come and steal the paintings. They take them down, roll them up, and steal them. And they catch one of the men, and she ends up going to his trial. You know, she's going because it's about her, you know, her work.
Right.
And she's devastated because these are like her masterpieces of what she's created. But she ends up being fascinated by the artist, I mean, by the thief, and why he stole her work. And he doesn't remember. He's maybe on drugs at the time. He doesn't know what he did with the paintings.
Wow.
So she becomes fascinated with him. She ends up kind of befriending him and taking him in and painting him and following his story. And it's just really incredible that kind of her soul, how she's able to do that and care more about him really than her paintings, which were, you know, something she truly loved. So it's really incredible.
Okay, I'm excited. I more like basic white girl stuff, but when you said movies, I was like, Midnight in Paris. I always, I don't know about you guys, but like I love Midnight in Paris for the, like, one, the pretentious guy that walks around the garden, because part of me feels like that sometimes, but I dumb myself down when I'm talking about art to people because no one wants to hear you just like spout out all the art wisdom you have. And then two, for how he just wanders the streets in Paris and talks to Picasso and who's the writer, the angry writer guy. It just puts like characters to the art that we all know and love. I loved that.
You will love Modigliani for that because the Picasso character is really he's good in Modigliani.
Yeah. What's the other one? Do you have any? So, do you want to look at any other artists? Like, so we could pull up anything because I have just this, you know, computer. So Modigliani is your favorite. Like, is there just anything that?
My favorite historical artist. There's just so many. I'm trying to think. I showed you that was dark for the show. Julie Ross. She is one of my favorite artists.
Okay, so let me pull that up because I want to give a full range. When I was looking at this art, to be completely honest with you, I'm in a state where I can't look at dark art. I'm just so.
Yes, because she pours her inner turmoil, I think, sometimes into her work.
Yes, I'm so sensitive to like vibes and feels and moods. And so like this year for me, these images were too much. And so I want to show you guys so you can get what I'm trying to say. But I know at a point in my life, I would be so inspired by this and trying to understand like what's going on in this. So here, I'm going to start with this.
There's a lot to dissect because she is one of those artists when people say you could look at her work forever and find something new.
Yeah, totally. Okay. It's loading. I like this.
But also let me show you this too, because this is what she does sometimes, if I can make it big enough for you to see.
Sometimes. Okay, I like it.
And she won't do this as often, but can you see that?
Oh, okay. It's
really beautiful. And see her bodice, like her is a tulip.
Okay, wow. And she's got very sharp angles.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one of them. Where did you go?
So over the years, I have some of her work up in a private gallery space right now, and I've shown some of her work in New York at an art fair, a small art fair during the big art fairs one year.
I love that. You guys, bear with me. Who knows why technology just like hates you the second you want to do anything public. Like, I'll be on photo shoots, my camera is fine. It's been fine all week, no problem. All my gear is working. And then you go to start like the really hard part of the shoot, and for some reason it just decided to hate you. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna have to show you it this way. This is both of them on top of each other. Ignore that. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. Huh. Where did they go? Hang on one sec, guys. Bear with me. This is Friday Hangs, okay? No one cares if it's perfect. We're just trying to look at art. Cool. Let's just pull it up from my Gmail, okay?
Yes.
So here we go.
That's a piece, I actually have that hanging up right now, and it's called Something Hidden. So there is a lot hidden in there, and there's a bird photo kind of hidden back in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then she paints with acrylic. There's Lido beach sand in that. I think there's probably some broken glass, and there's probably another medium as well. But she will have a lot, put it a little bit closer. She will have a lot of images in there. You can see the faces, the birds. There'll be eyes, there'll be fish.
I wonder if I can like focus on. I know.
Yeah, the bird up there.
Yeah.
The little bird, and then the face and the eyes. And then all the marks will each, like one time, one of these beautiful ones, I had it as my screensaver. And then one day I'm looking at it, and I don't know if I can say this on the live, but there was like a nipple, you know, in the little whimsical thing. Like,
you can say whatever you want, yeah.
And then I messaged her, and she's like, yeah, I have all kinds of things hidden, you know.
Whoa. I really want you guys to see it in all of its glory. There's this person, you know, I'm going to try and tag the artist in the captions so you guys can pull it up, but there's a person looking at like there's so much in here. I'm going to put it up one more time, and then we can pull up her other work. There we go. I mean, there's so
each second you're going to see things.
Yeah, it's like so good.
And there really will be fish or like clamshells, because she lived in Australia or New Zealand for a number of years. So and she lives in Sarasota, Florida now. So there's a lot of inspiration from the sea.
Yeah.
And she also does have, you're right, she does have a lot of things she gets out, because she is very concerned about the environment and what's happening in our world. Okay. And that come out in her pieces.
That's cool. But yeah, for some reason I saw it and I'm like, no, this is too dark. I can't handle this. And I go through phases in what I appreciate and what I can handle, like as a sensitive person. But there's just an energy I get from it. So, okay, let's pull up this one. This one is called, I actually don't have the name here. Come on. Okay.
Lady.
Yeah, the lady in the red.
And I'm trying to think of the name. It has something to do with, yourself. I can't think of the title either, but it has something to do with yourself, because she's holding herself is what she's holding.
Yep. Okay. She's holding herself. Yep. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
I know what it is, guys. I have a couple shoots that I have to deliver on Friday. Today's Friday. Tonight, I have to edit. And so my computer has it all before I back it up in all the places. So, you know, all of you digital people, you understand my struggle right now.
But see, I find these so beautiful, but they are beautiful in kind of like an edgier way.
Yeah.
That a little bit starker way. I think she got tired of being compared to like a Tim Burton kind of.
Oh, okay.
Early on, but I just really, there's like so evocative of a lot of things, and they are very feminine to me at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
See, that's what's cool. It's like we all have our own. That's why I love art. There's no rules or lines. Like they try to implement rules, and there are rules, visual rules, like we talked about, the golden, all that. But when artists break those and break them intentionally, and
if they break them well, yes. I mean, sometimes I do tell people there is bad art. There's some people that have a concept in their head and they don't have the craft to get it really in a way that would be appealing, no matter, you know, what's in their head. But if they have a concept and then they know how to craft it, And I tell people too, when I've had galleries or done shows, when I had the gallery, it had a big, like a retail gallery space downstairs. And then it was a live space upstairs, but I installed it all like a gallery. So it was a big stairwell and I had art all along the stairwell and then all upstairs. And so I would have a main exhibit downstairs. It had big, retail windows, but then I'd have art that I'd, had it from different shows and different times in the stairwell and upstairs. And people would go through the gallery and they'd point out a piece that they liked. And they're like, oh, I really like this one. And then they go to some other part of the gallery and they're like, oh, and I like this one. And they really wouldn't even make the connection, but it would be the same artist.
No way. Okay, cool.
People are drawn to what they're drawn to.
Yeah.
They can appreciate, I think, other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you appreciate her work.
Yes.
Like recognize what it is.
Yeah.
It may not be what you're drawn to today.
Yes.
So sometimes people feel like they don't know much about art, but people know what they like. People know what they do. I met with an artist yesterday, and he's really very well-known name in Atlanta, successful. His name's Steve Penley, and he's done well. He's Coca-Cola commissions him a lot. He does iconic things. He does Lincoln and Reagan and Kennedy and and flags. And he said, though, he believes it's not the only reason, but one of the reasons that his work, he confessed, because I used to think this a little bit, his work's a little simplistic, it's simple subjects, but he said, I had the fortune of liking normal things, of liking things that most people like.
Yes.
And that, so that he's painting something that most people relate to or like for whatever reason. So
he's not going into the depths of his, like, the crazy sphere that we all experiment on as artists. Yeah. He's the type that will really use color and paint in some unique ways. He has a spin. Like, we were sitting there and there was a Winston Churchill, but it's got like red paint on the forehead and the cheek, and you don't even think, oh, he's not supposed to have red in his face. He just knows how to work with that. And he said the colors really aren't off that much, but he paints it just enough that we think it is. And so it does seem like he's really smart about how he's creating these portraits. I mean, he does have his definite own style. Okay, so I'm feeling inspired after this. You guys, Denise, I want to do this monthly. Like, I'm going to go offline and talk to you about that, because this is just so huge, getting us to pause and look at incredible work. So if I want to know and have my pulse on some artists or resources, so I want to know, like, how do I find great art? 1, 2, how do I be cool in an art gallery opening? When they all open up, I get so intimidated. And I don't know why, but I just am like, the people are so cool. The artists are so artisty. So how do I walk into a gallery and be like, yeah, that does look like some juxtaposition with the. Like, how do you want people, as a gallery owner, how do you want people to experience the work in a gallery, communicate with the artist and the gallery owner and the curator? Like, what is those? So let's start with that and then give some tips and tricks at the end. We'll give it 7 more minutes so we keep it at an hour.
Okay, sounds good. Which I love that question, because I don't know that I've had anyone ask me that, but I know
little ego stroke.
I know everyone, a lot of people think it, and it always surprises me or takes me back, just because I guess I don't have that thought when I go into a gallery. To me, it's always such a treat. Like,
it's home. Yeah.
One of my favorite things, and one thing I've been missing this year, is going to gallery openings. I mean, I just love that. I love everything about it, and I really miss it. But I would say, for anyone, whether you go to galleries all the time or you haven't been in years and you decide to walk into one, really, I don't think you have to comment on the pieces as much as ask questions about the pieces. Really, I think anything you don't feel like you're that completely versed in is a good way to take. And just, one thing is, make sure you don't say anything derogatory about the artwork, because the artist could be the person you're saying
talking
it to.
Uh-huh.
Like, be careful what you're saying about the work, and be mindful that you might hurt someone's feelings. But also, I think asking questions.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't with the artist, whoever's standing next to you, what do you think about this? Or why do you like it? And if it's the artist, what is this piece? What are you creating? What is the story of this work? What type of work do you create? And let them just very open-ended questions and let them tell you about their work. And I really feel like that's the artist's role, or the gallery staff or the gallerist's role, is to tell you. And I've always said art either needs, the artwork itself needs a story, like, the golden spiral piece, there's stories about the piece, or the artist needs a story. Jacqueline, had a life-threatening illness and now she's creating joy. And some artists don't want to share their story. Some artists are more private. So then there needs to be a series. The work needs to have a story. People who have, not everyone, someone like you that maybe has, is a photographer and has an art background, maybe doesn't need that. But I think a lot of people do. They do want that. They want context. They want a story, either the artwork or the artist. So I think that's important, is when you go to a show, trying to figure out what the story is, but just asking open-ended questions. And know when you go in a gallery, I mean, there may be a handful of really snobby galleries in a few cities like LA or New York, but outside of that, I think people are really happy when you show up and there's, a buzz at the gallery and a crowd, people are in a good mood. And, I think that's what people want, is for them to come in. And not everyone may be a collector today, or someone in need of a piece of art, or inspired to buy a piece of art, but they still want people there. If no one was there, you might think, did I come to the wrong place? And so I think it all contributes. And that is one thing I would suggest. I think with being inspired by art, finding new artists, following artists, I think that the ways we know how to do right now, Pinterest and Instagram, are really valid, good ways. You can, find artists you like on both of those platforms, and then you can really follow them. And, once you're following a certain type of art, you're going to get more suggestions for that type of art. So I think that's definitely one that's easy to do. And we already like to be on social media. Most of us that are watching this are on this, and I think that's an easy one. And then the other one that I would say is to find some galleries in your area that you like, or that you think you might be interested in, and get on their email list.
Old school email list. I need to do my email list. That's cool.
Whether you walked into the gallery, you physically signed a book, or you sign up on their website. But start their newsletters, their invitations. A lot of galleries and museums both right now are doing virtual talks like this. They're doing a lot of things that right now we really can access. We may be missing out a little bit on the in-person, but we can really access a lot more. Right now we could watch a live talk at the Met or MoMA that maybe we wouldn't have been able to see otherwise. And we can see, something at the gallery in Paris. We can plug into all of that. And they do have a lot of things for children too. Like you can, on a museum's website and sign up for that kind of thing, or watch what their virtual programming is. There's an artist that I've been doing these virtual panels with, the one that's up in New York and Philadelphia, and his art foundation, a part of it is Rush Arts Center, and they have, where they educate children, especially children in, inner city areas that maybe have an interest in art. But right now they're doing a lot of virtual classes for children. So really kids anywhere, school age kids, could go on their website and see what they're offering as far as these virtual classes for your kids.
Cool.
So I think right now we do have, it's a little sad not to be able to walk into a gallery as much. I mean, they're open, but it's light attendance. But we can plug into a whole lot more, I think, virtually right now. So pros and I have heard, I haven't done it yet, but I've heard it. I have walked into a couple of galleries. But I've heard it's a good time to go to museums right now, if the one in your area is open. Because
I need to Google again.
Because there's not going to be as many people. There's definitely not as many people. And so you're going to have a lot more space in front of the art. I actually did go to a museum. I said I didn't, but I did. I went to one about 3 weeks ago. There's an artist that I had on my panel with Simmons 2 weeks ago named Derrick Adams. And he's hot in the art world right now, really. And he had an exhibit in Atlanta at SCAD. SCAD is the Savannah College of Art and Design, and the bigger art schools.
Stocked that when I was looking for colleges.
And it's a SCAD Fashion Museum, which is awesome. So they have, you know, like Iris, or I don't know, Pierre Cardin. They have, you know, real fashion exhibits, but they've had some that have art added in there. They had a fashion illustrator from Paris. They had someone who does the art of the shoe and does these shoes that are very sculptural in art. But one of the current exhibits, which thank goodness they extended, so I got to see it, is this Derrick Adams, and he had gone through the archives of a fashion designer named Patrick Kelly.
Okay.
And Patrick Kelly was a designer back in more in the 60s and 70s. He died young. Maybe, no, I'm sorry. Could have been 70s, 80s, 90s. Anyway.
I'm looking up Derrick Adams right now, if I can pull up some of his work.
Exhibit on Patrick Kelly, and Patrick Kelly was a Black artist, a Black designer, who actually was from Atlanta, ended up in Paris, and he was the first American designer inducted to like the Paris Syndicale of Fashion. So Derrick went through his archives and created some artwork around the archives, and also they exhibited some of the fashion at this fashion museum. So
this is cool, you guys. You have to look up.
It's super cool.
Keep talking. I want to pull this up.
So I wrote an article.
I'm not cool enough to create work like this. Look at this.
Yep.
Come on.
So I had Derrick on my panel, and he was really cool. He's doing all kinds of things. He has a piece in the TV show Empire.
Wait. Yes, but also is this the one or?
Yeah, that's the piece. So the TV series Empire is really good about having real art. Like they have Kahinti Wiley.
No way.
And they'll have a Klimt. I mean, like they have real art. And so
I love Gustav.
Commissioned him and asked him to do something different that they could use for like their billboards for one of their seasons, a portrait of the two main characters, Cookie and Lucius.
Okay.
And so he made this piece. They ended up writing it into the script. And they asked him if he wanted to be on the show, and he's like, no, not really. But they ended up writing the piece into the script, and it was sort of like, where's my Derrick Adams? And the piece went missing, and it became part of the plot for several episodes. So he's doing really well. And then he also has a piece in Beyonce's Black is King.
Okay.
Really cool. He just did these really cool murals for the Harlem Hospital in the pediatric ward.
Wait, can you show me the Black is King one? I'm going to scroll. Just show me which one it is.
Well,
I don't know why my Google is not like.
The one that's got like 16 faces in it. Yep, that one.
Okay, I'll pull up the big one of that. Cool.
Well, and the ones at the Harlem Hospital, those are kind of representative. He said one thing he's done with a lot of his work beside the faces are consumerism. Like,
oh, yes. Yes.
And another thing he did is that's one of his themes, I guess, is he Googled on Instagram floaters, like the little floaters, you float around in the pool with kids.
Yes, and I'm looking at that piece right now.
There was not a single one with Black people on floaters.
Hold on, let me pull that up.
It's all white people enjoying pools and leisure. There was never any people of color. So he did a series of people of color and Black people with the floaters. So it was just kind of a series, but it was also a statement for him. He said he wants to kind of create the world he wants to have. Instead of trying to find what's wrong with the world, like just let's make it how we want it to be. And
that's cool. Okay, this is a terrible small photo of it. Back to the computer issues again, but you get the vibe. It's a photo of the work in the gallery, the floaters.
Yeah,
that's huge. I really like his work. I saw you post about him. So that's Derrick Adams for you guys that are just joining in.
Derrick Adams. And so this Rush Art Center that I mentioned, Derrick curated for their gallery early in his career, right out of college, or, not long after that, for maybe 13 years. So it helped, I think, he was hanging art, doing all the things we do when we have a gallery on our own, running a gallery. And so I think that really helped him in his background in knowing how to get his art out there and how to, really do everything involved. And then the artist that brought me in with, to meet him is Danny Simmons. And he also, his work, they have some parallels in some of their work. Danny started this art foundation 25 years ago when he was in Brooklyn.
I know his work. I can, and
Yeah.
like right now as a mom, my brain is completely shut down. I can't remember names, dates, anything important, but I do. I'm good with my visuals still. So here is his work.
And so Danny, he will have paint, collage, fabric, a lot of like tribal African fabric influences,
Yeah.
very work in general. But he is a super cool guy, and he collects art. He's got a incredible
Mm,
contemporary art. He collects African art, and he collects comic books.
cool.
But his house is like a museum. You know, it's just full of actual sculptural masks and pieces of art, and he's always buying art.
Yeah,
And
wait, look, is this his house right now? Like if you
that's
all
Danny.
these
That's his living room, exactly.
guys, do you see this? Like we moved in and I took 5 seconds to put hats up because there's an
Yeah,
outlet to like hang a TV. It's just
yeah,
like I would love to get my artwork up there, my
yeah.
work and other people's work, but anyway, there's things that you got to do, like work.
Right.
But yeah, that's what this is like my gallery wall, Denise. You have to come over when you're in LA and help me hang some cool work.
Yep, I sure will. I would love to. Yep. And so Danny is the one that I've been really fortunate that has. I was going to do the exhibit with him in November, so now he's my host, and I have a colleague in LA that's doing the show with me.
Cool.
And the first one we did was with an artist in Atlanta, Kevin Cole,
Mm-hmm.
who does a lot of fabrication with aluminum and also bent wood. And his story is really fascinating too, and he's pretty well known in Atlanta. His work, it also is a darker topic, but he makes it really bright. But when he was young, his grandfather, he was like 18, and his grandfather was asking him if he was going to go vote. And I think he thought it was kind of too much trouble and wasn't going to go vote. So his grandfather sent him somewhere to a location and sent him to like this park or something. And he went there. And when he came back, he told his grandfather it seemed kind of creepy or whatever. And the grandfather showed him a photo or told him a story, but it was a place where some men had been lynched and going to vote. And back then, Black men dressed up because it was an important thing. I think sometimes maybe they still have that part of their culture. And so anyway, in his work, he uses ties to represent that. So a lot of his work has these colorful ties, but that's what they
What's his
represent.
name again? Can you give me first?
Kevin Cole,
Okay.
Col.
Wow. Well, very relevant to our week. Okay.
Yeah, and aluminum, and they're like fabricated to like move, curl and move. And he's got a huge installation at the international terminal at the airport. It's aluminum all across the top of the area go into TSA. So he's done really well, and he collects art. So he collects Danny's art, and Danny collects his art. So that was fun to have them both be on the on the panel. And then Danny's cousin is the CFO at the High Museum here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's an interesting topic. Yeah.
Wow. So how do we follow, like, obviously we need to be following your Instagram, but do you have an event coming up that we should watch?
You have one on November 18th, Wednesday, November 18th. And it's so Danny's also a spoken word poet.
Ooh.
And 3 books. So we have his fine art publisher on.
Okay. Awesome. That's amazing. So that's Wednesday, November 18th. And how do we find it?
And actually, I will post something.
Yes.
Probably not a lot on my Instagram, but I have a Facebook, Town and Culture.
Yep.
But the hashtag for this is chain letters, all one word.
Chain letters. Okay.
On YouTube, chain letters will go to all the videos we've done so far.
Awesome.
His brother is Russell Simmons of Def Jam Records. So we do Russell.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
So like just some major name drops, guys. So take Denise seriously. She knows what she's talking about. Follow her Instagram. I'll post all of the info, the deets that you need to continue to follow what she's doing and join on November 18th. But yeah, I'm getting some people.
Just send me a direct message too.
Yeah.
I don't hear from anybody.
Yeah, and like honestly, there's some people texting me and sending some Instagrams that they want this to be monthly. So I'm gonna find a way, Denise. Let's do this.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Great idea. People really like the idea.
Yeah, so let's continue. Thank you so much. Let's get to our Friday evenings. It's 4 o'clock here, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Just kidding.
Dark here, obviously, at least I have some light now, but it's,
Yeah.
yes. Right.
This was perfect. Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging, you guys.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Talk to you later. Bye.